Don't worry about him. Every once in a while, you run into a guy who's too dumb to get killed.
Hello everyone, I'm Johnny, and today we are taking a look at the greatest beer run ever. That's the Vietnam War movie. I had some low expectations going into this one. It does have some fairly poor reviews, but I actually quite liked it. It gives a good general overview of the Vietnam War, as well as provides a perspective from a naive patriot. Overall, it's well worth watching, so let's check it out. The story itself, of course, sounds sensational, but it's based on a true story. Basically, a New York bartender and veteran, George the Colonel Lynch, played by Bill Murray, came up with the idea at a local bar called Doc Fiddler's. Lynch hated seeing Vietnam War veterans coming home to protesters and wanted to come up with a way to boost the morale of Americans fighting in Vietnam. He inspired bar patron 26-year-old Chickie Donahue to do just this. Chickie further wanted to honor the families of some 20 young men who recently died in his neighborhood fighting in the war. Chickie loaded up with beer and got work on a merchant ship taking ammunition from New York to Vietnam, and he arrived in country January 19, 1968, with some beer for his boys. Chickie, using his wits, charm, and taking advantage of the general chaos of the war, managed to make his way throughout the country, handing out beer to several of his friends from back home. This was both inspirational and tragic, as during his trip, one of his friends, Richie Reynolds, whom he was looking for, was killed during the search. He did find the other 4 he was looking for, all stationed with different outfits, at a time when there were nearly 500,000 American soldiers in Vietnam. His travels saw him briefly participate in the Battle of Quai Son. His return home was further interrupted by the Tet Offensive. The last man he tracked down was Bobby Pappas, who was found during the Tet Offensive, after the Viet Cong blew up a huge ammunition dump where Pappas was stationed. Chickie was a Marine Corps veteran, so he was never completely out of place during this personal mission. All in all, he spent around 4 months in the country, placing himself in harm's way multiple times. Overall, the movie follows closely the real-life experience of Chickie Donahue, including him being mistaken for a CIA agent, with some obvious sensationalism. Chickie, for example, was not present during CIA interrogations. The purpose of this sensationalism of Donahue's experience is not to exaggerate his own story, but rather to give a truncated view of the horrors of the Vietnam War and how they did not align with every patriot's view of America's involvement in the country. Chickie Donahue's experience in the movie runs the gamut from frontline combat, war crimes, and crimes against civilians. His experience further provides insight into perspectives of soldiers and civilians, including reporters. The movie loosely covers so many bases, I would say this would be a decent movie to show high school students who might not know anything about the Vietnam War. The story is a coming-of-age tale of a young naive man coming to terms with the fact that the view of this war at home, from all sides, is quite detached from reality. Chickie's experience also includes the protests at home, funerals, and the division the war brought to America within families, particularly between generations, with the new younger generation being more critical of America's involvement in the war. Some of the more thought-provoking moments come from dialogue between Chickie and reporter Arthur Coates, relating to the degree in which the American government is trying to control the narrative around the war. In particular, how much resistance there is against U.S. forces in the American-controlled South. Overall, the movie does provide a great variety of perspectives, but doesn't really provide any new perspectives or deep insight into the Vietnam War. The acting and the characters aren't really challenged to provide significant emotional depth, bar a few scenes, but Zac Efron should make you at least smile for much of the movie. My favorite acting scenes were probably the small scenes with Bill Murray, as I almost forgot this was Bill Murray playing this role. It's a cool real story and I appreciate it being told. Just expect it to hit like a made-for-TV movie, and I think you should enjoy it. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching my review on the greatest beer run ever. Maybe grab a beer and watch it on a Sunday afternoon. Let me know what you think of the movie in the comments section, and like and subscribe and all that stuff. But most importantly, do take care. Have a nice rest of your day.